Good evening, everybody. Welcome to another episode of the Pits of Motorcast. This is your host, Dave. I line special guests, Jeremy Stupar and Carlys Stupar. How you guys doing tonight?
We're doing good. How are you?
Good. You guys been enjoying the hot weather?
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
But even though last Saturday was a little bit too hot.
Oh, yeah.
Yep.
I know, Carly, you were out there at the track helping Pro Stocks.
Yeah, it was. It got to be pretty warm.
So how was the event? Event went good, though?
Oh, yeah, the event went really, really good. I learned a lot with mainly Pro Stock cars compared to gassers like we're used to. So I learned a lot from that one day. So I'm excited to keep it going.
So, Jeremy, how did it all begin for you to get into drag racing?
Well, so it's something I've been interested in for a very long time, but I just never had the opportunity to do it. And a friend of ours, Jim Parks, who Carly is working with the Pro Stock group, had a funny car that he actually let Carly sit in one day at a car show while he started it up.
Mm-hmm.
And every time he cracked the throttle, her smile got bigger and bigger. She was, I don't even know how old you were.
Oh.
Remember, you were probably like 6 years old.
5 or 6, yeah.
And ever since then, she's kind of fallen in love with drag racing. And one day she came up to me and said that she wanted to go drag racing. I said, okay. Do you want to do the junior drags, or do you want to do, what do you want to do? And she looked at me and said, well, if we build a junior dragster, in a couple of years, we'll have to build another car. Why don't we just build one car, and that way we save some money? And I'm like, I like the way you think.
Yeah.
So that's kind of how we started. I've got an uncle who passed away quite a few years ago. He used to race at Union Grove, I believe, with an old 61 Pontiac that my brother actually owns now and races. So it's, that's kind of how we started. She wanted to start racing, and so we picked up a car, and it was something I said that I'm not going to build and give to you. I said, if you want to do this, I said, you're going to have to work on the car. And she looked at me and said, well, when can we get started?
Yeah.
And that car is a Sassy too?
Yep,
Yeah,
a little too sassy.
Yep.
Now, how did that name come about? Carly picked it out?
Well, a friend of my dad's lives down in Tennessee, Scott Abbott, and we were trying to come up with a name, and we were kind of tossing some things around, and I guess, we were kind of sitting there, kind of talking on the phone and everything, and he goes, well, you're kind of sassy, and I was like, yeah, and he goes, why don't you call it Little Too Sassy, because it's a Chevy too as well, and we're like, that's a good name. So Dad and I kind of came up with a couple drawings, and we worked with my grandpa to make up all the decals and finalize all the drawings, and that's just kind of how it came to be. And I was, 12?
Yeah, you were like 12 at the time.
12 at the time. So I think it sticks, and it fits well with the car.
The car looks great.
Thank you.
She did almost all the work. The only thing she didn't do on the car was paint the car, weld the roll cage in, and build the transmission. Everything else she worked on.
So who did the paint? Who did the paint and all the work? Who did the paint and all that work then?
So a friend of mine, Steve McKenzie, actually painted it for us. That's what he does for a living, and he wanted to help us out, so he laid the paint on the car. And a friend of mine, Tom Egley, and I put the cage in the car, and then another friend of mine built the transmission for her.
Then what year did you start driving the car, Carly?
Oh, I was 14 when I started racing it. So we picked it up when I was 12, and 2 years later I made my first pass at the 100-car heads-up down in Byron, Illinois.
Yeah, it was the last one they had.
Yep.
We talked to BJ down there, the owner of the track, and they actually have a class for, is it 12 to 16-year-olds that don't have a driver's license. NHRA has this class. It's called the Junior Street Class, where kids that don't have a driver's license are able to actually race at the track. They have to drive with a guardian. They're only allowed to drive an 1/8 mile, and on
the return road, they have to ride back with the guardian.
The licensed driver has to drive the car through the pits for safety reasons. But we had talked to BJ down there at the 100-car heads up, and he was all for it and let us do it, and that's how she got started.
And how old are you now, Carly?
I'm 19 right now.
Now, are you driving with the Bruce City Gassers now?
Yep, I'm racing with the Bruce City Gassers right now. We got another event coming up in September, which is the Fallout, and then it's also going to be Uncle Sam's Pie Eating Contest with the Meltdown Association as well. So those are the main two that I raced with, and then I just started working for the Nostalgia Pro Stock Association.
Yeah, Dan Meneses.
Yep.
Now, how did you get to know the Bruce City guys?
We kind of branched out from the Meltdown Association, and we kind of started up another club alongside with the Meltdown Association. And they just kind of contacted us and said, hey, this is kind of what we're thinking of doing. Would you like to join our group? And I was like, yeah.
More time at the track?
Yeah.
Yeah. So what's been your fastest run time, Carly?
Fastest I've gone is a 1286, and that was up at Rock Falls Raceway during another one of our Fallout events.
And the Fallout event this year, when is that one?
September 26th, I believe, 25th or 26th.
Now, is that track a quarter mile or 1/8 mile track?
That's a quarter mile. And they're completely redoing it. They've been working on it all winter and all summer, so they're hoping to have it all finished up for us.
Yeah, it's a beautiful facility.
Mm-hmm.
And racing in the fall, it's just such a nice setting, and it's just...
Car runs great.
Yeah, car runs good because it's cool out. So.
Now, Jeremy, have you done any drag racing?
A little bit with Carly's car.
Yeah. We did with the Nutcase, too.
I had that station wagon. I raced a couple of times at the 100-car head.
Yep.
That was pretty slow. It was something that we just kind of put together.
It was more for looks.
Yeah, we put it together out of parts we had laying around. I actually picked up the car up in Minnesota. A friend of mine gave it to me, and we just kind of put it together with some parts I had left over from other vehicles in the shop. So...
Awesome.
But that's about it for me. Carly has a lot more seat time than I do.
Yeah.
So the whole drag racing bug is thanks to Mr. Jim Parks and the Red Rat No Pro Stock.
Yeah, well, it was. He actually had it was a Dick Harrell '68 Firebird or '68 Camaro. He had funny car that he had for a while.
Mm-hmm.
But
that was quite a few years ago, though.
Yep.
Wow. So, Carly, do you have any drag racers that inspire you out there?
Do I have any what? Sorry.
Any drag racers that are inspirational to you?
Oh boy.
You know, it can be local drivers or in NHRA, either one.
Right. Yeah. Actually, when I first started drag racing, there was a magazine. Gaster Wars magazine that kind of heard about me. They didn't know a whole lot, and I got to meet them at one of the Meltdown drags. And one of the owners, her name was Dee, and she ended up passing away 2 years ago. But she was like, go check out Carly, go talk to Carly, And she really, really got my name out there. She really, really helped me, feel more comfortable in the drag racing setting. Especially being another female who was really interested in it. And that was, I was 15 or 16, and to have her be there, that was a lot of fun. Yeah, they featured me in a magazine a couple times. And every time they came to the track, she's always like, what upgrades did you do? How are you racing now? And she kind of gave me some tips and pointers and stuff. And she used to be a drag racer as well. I think in the 80s, 90s. But yeah, she's a really big inspiration on me. So yeah.
Now, how about someone like Kelly Dill? Does she inspire you?
Oh yeah. She gave me a bunch of pointers last week as well. About like packing parachutes, and same with Jackie. With the Pro Stock Association, both of them really kind of taught me more about how Pro Stock works compared to, like I said, like with gassers, like what I'm used to running.
Now, do you ever think you're gonna drive a Pro Stock one day?
I'm supposed to actually next year. I was talking to Dan Manasis, and he's hoping to kind of get me either running in their Cobra or in the Pinto.
Kelly's moving.
Yep, because Kelly's moving on
Right.
to. Yeah, so we're hoping to do some switching around here next year.
Yeah, Kelly said whoever it is, as long as they, keep it in keep Bunny's tradition going, get a good driver,
Right,
get a
yep.
good driver in that seat.
Mm-hmm.
Oh yeah, yep.
Definitely have to see.
Oh yeah.
She made 36 passes in one weekend up at Rock Falls.
I was hot lapping it that weekend.
Yep.
Nice 70-degree weather, and the car was running great.
So what would you say is your best memory of being in the gassers?
It has to be the people. Just like I said, with being, with the Meltdown Association, the Brew City Gassers, they were all very welcoming when I first started racing with them. And I remember one weekend, I think it was at the Meltdown Drags, ended up breaking down, and all of them flooded over, and they're like, what do you need? I'll take it off of my car so you can keep racing. And it was a good experience. Yeah, they're like a family.
The Meltdown Association and the Brew City Gassers have been tremendous as far as supporting Carly.
Mm-hmm.
When we first started, I wasn't too sure what to expect, and I told Carly on the way down, I said, I really don't know what to expect. I said, some of these guys have been racing since the 60s. You might get a little attitude, what's this girl doing in a man's sport?
Yeah.
But that's not at all what we found. The guys from the Meltdown Association have been nothing but supportive.
Mm-hmm.
Same with the Brew City Gassers. The guys are, they're just happy to have us there, and they're always willing to lend a hand at any event. It's been great.
Or give me some pointers or anything like that as well.
Yeah, the guys have all been really good about helping Carly along, giving her confidence, not only behind the seat, but as a person in general, talking to people at the track. When we first went there, she was like, I'm just going to sit in the truck. I'm not talking to anybody.
Right.
And I said, well, you built this car. I said, you need to talk to people because they're going to have questions. And she said, well, you can answer those questions. And I'm like, they're going to want to talk to you.
Right.
And like I said, those guys have all been nothing but supportive, and kind of helped Carly break out of her shell. So it was a good experience.
Big confidence booster too.
Yeah, and like I said, these guys they're like family to us now.
Right,
and,
right.
We go to the track, and it's like it's almost like going to a family reunion to see some of these guys, especially after the winter.
Right. Yeah.
And then of course with the COVID-19 virus and the tracks being shut down for so long, and then when we finally got to go to the track, it was just like a family reunion. It was so nice to see everybody again, and it was. I just can't explain how it feels,
Yeah, that's what I hear from pretty much all the drag racers that I interviewed. They all say drag racing is just a big family atmosphere, and the family just gets bigger and bigger. You meet more and more people as the years go by.
Right. Yep.
Yeah, it's funny that people, we'll be at a car show, because we'll take Carly's car to car shows every now and then, and these people are like, hey, I think I saw you racing at, such and such an event. Is that you? Yep, that was me.
Yeah.
Yep, and then like you guys are talking about, people, their car be broke down, and if you need a part, they'll be willing to take a part off their car and give it to you so you can keep running.
Yep.
Right. Yeah, that was like a big, you'd really do that for me? Like, I'm that welcome here? Like, you guys still want me to race? And they're like, yeah, like, what do you need help with? Let us know if you need anything, you know, if you need help with anything, too. That was really nice to hear, too.
Yep. We've also got a lot of pointers from some of the guys that raced back in the day, you know, that, you know, hey, I saw your car's running this fast. If you do this, you might gain a couple tenths of a second. Then we try it, and sure enough, it would work. And it's like, well, wait a minute, no, let's take that off and see what happens. And then we lose 2 tenths of a second.
Yeah.
So it's kind of funny how
just little tips and tricks that even from fans too, it's like people up in the grandstand kind of come down and they're like, well, I saw that, you know, you're doing this, maybe try doing this instead, or like you said with, you know, try doing this instead of this, or swap this out instead of this. And that's really been helpful as well.
So what do you enjoy most about being a drag racer, Carly?
Just being able to do something that is kind of a dying sport, and knowing that I'm still keeping that alive, and kind of helping other people realize, you know, hey, girls can be in this sport too. It's not just a guy sport.
not just girls,
not
kids too.
Right, kids as well. Being only 19, I've had a couple, you know, other teenagers come up saying, you know, I've been kind of looking into drag racing, but seeing you doing it, I want to get involved in it as well.
We've got a buddy of ours that races with the Brew City Gassers. His son is 15, and they're talking about building a fair lane or something shortly, so he can start drag racing too. And he's been talking to us quite a bit. You know, how did Carly get started? And I gave him, you know, I said, well, check into this with the NHRA, the junior street class. And so he started checking into it and talking to his son, and his son and him are really excited about it. And we're hoping maybe next year he'll be able to run with us.
Mm-hmm.
That's awesome.
Yep.
Because the young ones are the future of drag racing.
Right. Yep. It's cool to know that I'm still keeping it alive, and I don't plan on quitting anytime soon.
Then you got like Tyler Chinook moving from the Pro Stocks to the Wiseguys.
Sure.
Sure.
You know, he won his first race with the Wiseguys. Well, the July 3rd, right? Yeah, he won the Wiseguys event.
Okay.
Good. Cool.
You guys know Tyler, right?
No.
Yeah, I heard about him at the track this weekend.
Oh,
I haven't met him yet, but I've heard about him. They were talking about him over the loudspeaker.
Because I know he was thrown out the Pro Stock, but that was before you were working with him, right, Carly?
I believe so, yeah.
Yeah, because last year he was still running with the Pro Stock Association.
Okay.
Yeah, you just started.
Yeah, I just started this year.
Yeah, then he just started running with the Wiseguys this year.
Gotcha.
Have you guys ever watched Chicago Wiseguys?
I've seen him a couple times racing when we go to like a testing tune, and then this past weekend I got to see him make a couple runs as well.
Yeah, those are some fast cars.
Oh yeah, they are. Fast and loud.
Yeah. So you think you'd ever jump behind the seat of a pro mod, Carly?
Maybe if the opportunity comes, I'm not turning it down.
Mom's sitting over in the corner shaking her head no. Actually, what she really wants to build, and I know AJ, if he's listening, is going to love to hear this. She wants to build and race a front engine dragster. He keeps pushing us to try and build one or buy one and run, because I think he wants to race against Carly.
Oh, probably.
But AJ, he keeps giving us a hard time about it. He says, when are you going to build one of these cars? So we'll see.
Those I'd love to race. Yeah.
So what do you hate most about being a drag racer, Carly?
What do I hate most? Oh boy, when it's 100-degree heat, there's no clouds, no breeze, you're sitting in your full race suit, your full fire suit, helmet on, all strapped in, cars at 200 something, you're in the staging lanes, and someone oils down the track.
Yeah.
That's the worst.
That's a funny story too about being in the car. When we first started racing, the car was primered black.
Yep.
And we were at the meltdown drags, I believe.
It's always hot.
Yep. And guy was Tom Ailman was looking at her car, talking to us about it. You know, he said, "I heard that you built this car," and she's like, "Yeah." And she's like, "Well, we're gonna repaint the car, and we're gonna do this and blah blah blah." And he says, "Well, what color are you gonna paint it?" And she said, "White." And he goes, "White? Why are you gonna paint it white?" And what did you say?
Because black is too hot.
You said it was too freaking hot.
Too freaking hot.
Sitting in the staging lanes, and he started laughing. He goes, "Well, I guess you're right there."
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what they always say. Black attracts the sun.
Oh yeah.
Don't wear black clothing and all that. Yeah. So now, Carly, if you can have your fans remember one thing about you, what would you want that to be?
I don't know. Probably if I'm able to do it, you guys are able to do it too. Mainly with like the younger kids who are kind of thinking about getting into drag racing, and even with younger girls specifically. Like if I'm able to do it and I'm accepted into it, you're able to do it as well.
All right. Now, do you think you can become a better drag racer? And if so, how would you achieve that?
Oh, I can always improve. I'm hoping with working with Dan and the Midwest Pro Stock Association that I'll be able to learn more about different types of drag racing, and maybe when I do get into a pro stock car, I'll be able to learn different shift patterns and different ways to shift. That'll help me also with my gasser. Reaction time. Yeah, that might help as well. And, just learning about different types of drag racing might help. And who knows, it might lead me to bigger, better things. And if it does, I'm more than happy to take that path and keep it going.
Yeah, we spend time on the dyno, too.
Right, we spend a lot of time on the dyno as well, yeah.
Trying to find that last ounce of horsepower.
Now, you guys want to talk about the car and tell us, what kind of car it is, like what year and all that good stuff?
Yeah, so it's a 1962 Chevy 2 Gasser. When we bought the car, it had a straight axle in it already, and we were told that it has drag racing history up in Kaukauna. So that was pretty cool to find out. So we're hoping, I haven't raced at Kaukauna yet, but we're hoping to get up there sometime and make a couple passes down the track, take some cool pictures, and just kind of have the car go back to where it began. That'd be pretty cool too.
Yep. Yeah. I think he wants to know about what all is
right
in it. So I'll kind of go from here. It's got a 355 Chevy small block in it. It's got aluminum heads on it right now, but we're going to change those out. We're going to put cast iron heads back on the car because we actually lost horsepower
surprisingly
by putting these aluminum heads on. So we're going to change those back to a cast iron head. It's got a turbo 350 transmission with a 3500 stall. It's got a 10-bolt Auburn Posi with a 411 gear, and she's running pie crust slicks
on the back here.
So it's we tried to make the car as close to period correct as we could.
Of course, with safety adjustments.
Yeah, safety things we can upgrade. So what we try and do is follow the 1966 rule book as far as what the car needs to have. It has to have a full interior, which it does now. We Carly put a headliner in a couple years ago.
A pain.
But it's there's some other things that aren't 100% period correct, but we're making changes to try and get it as close to period correct as we can.
Yep.
Safety upgrades obviously are okay. So it does have disc brakes, obviously a 5-point harness, up-to-date helmet.
Helmet.
She does wear a fire suit. She doesn't have to, but That was kind of a requirement by Mom and I that we wanted to make sure she had a fire suit. The car does also have, you've got a neck brace.
Yeah.
We also have a fire extinguisher in the car, just in case.
Yeah.
It's got all glass windows. We had them tinted red to give it the more period-correct look. And then at the time when we finished the car, after it was painted, my dad owned a sign shop in Madison, and Carly and my dad actually designed all of the graphics for the car, and tried to make them look period correct. So the too sassy, a little too sassy is gold, and it looks like it's engine turned. It's actually all vinyl, but it turned out pretty good.
Got the red race stripes on the top too.
Yep. And of course we've got the signature red headlight.
Oh yeah.
So, but other than that, it's got fender well headers. If we put mufflers on it, change the headlights out, take the slicks off, she can actually drive the car on the street. Not very much.
Not much.
Right.
She does. Yeah, race cap gets expensive, But I mean, it's a pretty basic car. We don't have realistically, we don't have a lot of money into the car, and it's the best it's run is a 1286. But a lot of that is because we spent a lot of time on the dyno, tuning the car, and we'll go and tune the car, and our dyno guy, his name is Nathan Egley. He's like, well, it's running a little rich. We should probably lean it out a little bit. And Carly's like, okay, shut the car off. We get up in there. She climbs right up inside the engine bay and changes the jets.
Yep.
And then, so then we'll run it again. And sure enough, we gained, a couple horsepower here, a couple horsepower there. And the next thing you know, the thing's running 12s. So it's been a lot of fun.
Oh, yeah.
Now, where does all her fire safety equipment come from? Where do you guys order it from?
Oh, kind of all over. Most of it's from Summit Racing. Fire suit I got for a birthday present, actually, from my grandpa. Neck brace, I believe, is G-Force. It's just kind of all over, and it's all red and hot pink, so it all matches the car as well.
Now, what was it like for you, Carly, to get behind the wheel for the first time of that gasser?
Oh, it was kind of intimidating at first. When we first got it running, I was 12, 13 years old, and kind of took it on the backcountry roads, and Dad's like, oh, do a burnout. And I was like, how do I do that? I don't even... So I did my first burnout on a backcountry road, and really getting behind the wheel at the track for the first time was really cool. The grandstands weren't packed, but there was a couple people, and I think they did some announcing, like this is her first pass, she's only 14, and then coming back and seeing a bunch of people, like, giving me a thumbs up or clapping, like, that really motivated me to keep going. And now when we go to races, the grandstands are packed, there's people standing on the sides of the track, and everyone's got their phones out taking pictures, and some people are like, oh, that's Carly, and so that's always awesome.
Mark Diedrich helps with that too quite a bit when we're at Union Grove.
So that's always cool to see, just look out my window right after the burnout, and I just see all these phones, like, following me as I'm driving, and everyone's smiling and clapping, and coming back on the return road. The coolest part is seeing all the little kids lined up against the fence, and they're like, hey, that's Carly, and that's always cool.
Yep.
Yeah, the fans at the Grove are really appreciative of you guys.
Well, I'm sure. I'm appreciative of them too.
Now, besides you and your dad, that's it for the crew for the car, right?
For the most part, yeah. Mom always comes along. She's our photographer, kind of.
And she makes lunch for us.
She makes lunch for us, packs everything up for us. So she's part of the pit crew as well.
She makes sure we're hydrated and fed.
Yep.
Now, when you're out on the start line, Carly, do you have any pre-race rituals or superstitions at all?
No, not really. I like to put some Elvis music on in the car. Yeah, not a whole bunch of, like, no pep talk or nothing. I just put on Elvis music and kind of calms me down, sing along to it, make my pass, come back, and ready to do it again.
Yeah, some people, they gotta step in the fire suit the same way every time and do all that stuff.
No, I don't. I'm not like that. No, I just kind of throw it all on as fast as I can, get in the car, make a pass, and rip it all off as fast as I can.
Now, do you have any?
It's hot.
You have any sponsorship at all for the car?
Our dyno guy Nathan, he's a huge sponsor for us. Capital City Performance.
Signs by Tomorrow.
Signs by Tomorrow, which was the shop that my grandpa owned.
And then
some friends of ours who own Cool Hand Customs in Middleton. They're a huge sponsor for us too.
Yeah, they helped us out with some of the body work that needed to be done.
Yeah.
Some of the panels that were welded onto the car. So.
Now, is there a lot of? Go ahead.
Yep, and TNT window tinting. They did all the tinted windows for us. They tinted them all the bright red color that they are.
Yep.
Now, is there a lot of preparation that goes into getting that gas ready for a weekend of drag racing?
We just drag it out of the garage, start it up, and kind of go through the engine, make sure everything's tight, air up the tires just to make sure that they're not super duper flat.
Yeah, we've done a lot of test and tune with the car.
Yeah, we do a lot of tuning before huge races, just to make sure everything's dialed into where it needs to be, and especially over the winter, sometimes stuff kind of fluctuates and changes a little bit.
Yeah, we check the timing to make sure the timing's where it needs to be.
Yep.
Change the oil like every other race.
Mm-hmm. Do a maintenance check, check transmission fluid, oil changes, make sure all the bolts are tight, and then when we get to the track, we go through, make sure all the tires are set at the right pressure, make sure batteries all strapped in correctly, seats are all good, and
yep.
Now, do you have any favorite tracks to race on?
I gotta say Rock Falls is my favorite. It's so pretty up north, and it's right by Eau Claire, so it's super duper quiet. And at night, I remember the first race that we went to up at Rock Falls. At night, I came out at like 2 o'clock in the morning, and I could just see the whole Milky Way. It was so pretty, and the air temperature and air pressure up there is always great. Car always runs perfect up there, so that's always great too. But every time we go up there, it's a nice 70, low 80s. It's always pretty up there too.
Yeah, and the after race event parties and stuff.
Oh, that's
they're
always
fun
good
too. Sitting around the campfire, always fun.
Yep.
Now, Carly, have you had any accidents or close calls since you've been drag racing?
I've had a couple of close calls. No accidents, knock on wood. But yeah, I've had a couple of times where I've hit like a slick spot on the top end, and the car kind of moves a little bit, where it kind of scares me. I think it was one of the meltdown races. I was up at the top end and almost crossed the finish line, and I hit like a grease spot or something. They just cleaned up the track, and they must have missed a spot, and the car like veered right towards the wall, and I just stood on the brakes and just coasted the rest of the way. So that was kind of scary, but nothing too major other than slick spots and little things on the track.
Yeah, like you said, knock on wood, no accidents.
Right, yeah.
All right, so you guys ready for some fun questions now?
Store cars. We've done this 62 Chevy 2 here. And then I also bought a 63 VW Beetle up in the grandstands. And like Dad has said in other times, it's mainly just a huge car show where we just happen to get to race our cars on the track as well. Was up against this older guy, and he was kind of, talking to his buddies like, "Hey, I'm gonna beat her. She's a 14-year-old."
Contacted them and talked to them about, building her car and making sure that we were building it correctly to meet their criteria.
So we'd be able to race with them.
We could race with them. And then again, Mark Davis, Brad, Jan Carrick, John and Wendy Reidenbeck. We'd like to thank them too with the Brew City Gassers, just for supporting us and helping us do what we do. Helping us do what we love to do.
Right.
And again, they're, like I said, all of these guys and gals, they're like a second family for us. And again, they bend over backwards to help us, and we do the same for them at any event. So, but I also like to thank Dan Manis for
say that too.
Yeah, for getting a hold of us and asking Carly to join the group.
To race for him.
Yeah, to race for him and work with the group. We really appreciate the opportunity, and we're looking forward to a relationship with him and his group.
Yep. And then also wanted to add a thank you to BJ, who owns Byron, for actually letting me get behind the wheel at the 100-car heads up. I think without him letting me actually run, I wouldn't have actually experienced racing that weekend, and that's kind of what got me really, really wanting to race.
Yeah, you were a little nervous.
Yeah, I was a little bit. Made my first pass, and I was like, all right, let's go again.
Yep. The bug was there.
Yeah, it was.
And the rest is history.
Yeah.
And the rest is history, yep.
That's right.
Yep.
Well, thanks again, you guys, for being on air with me tonight.
No problem.
Yeah, thank you for inviting us.
Hope you guys had fun.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah, it was fun.
And Carly, I wish you the best of luck in your future endeavors in drag racing.
Well, thank you. Hope to see you down at the track sometime.
Yeah,
look us up if you're down there.
The next time we should be at the Grove, my wife and I should be out there August 15th for the Nitro Streetcar Brawl.
I will be there with Dan's group.
Alrighty, we'll look for you.
All right, sounds good.
Yeah, guys, have a great night.
Yep, thank you.
Thank you.
Alright, bye.